All right, welcome back. Thanks, but no thanks. That meeting in Budapest is no longer happening. President Trump got the feeling that Russian President Putin, well, he's not quite ready to make a peace deal. So Trump's not going to waste his time. Now he's holding Putin's feet to the fire, slapping sanctions against two of Russia's largest oil companies. But will sanctions be enough to bring Putin to the bargaining table here? Ivana Stradner is with the Russia Program Fellow for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, and Dan Rice is a former special advisor to the Ukraine Armed Forces. Great to have you here. And Alex Pleitsis is a former Pentagon official and senior fellow for the Atlantic Council. Thank you all for being here. Before we get to the Russia-Ukraine situation, Trump traveled to Malaysia to sign this peace deal between Thailand and Cambodia. I want to get your thoughts, Alex. Do these peace deals here with these other countries offer motivation here for Zelensky and Putin to come to the table? You see, President Trump has been all about peace. He wants the peace to continue between, or at least to happen here, between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, I think it's demonstrative of the president's ability to get folks to come together in tense situations and reach a peace agreement. And the more of these that he successfully, has his hands in and achieve a peaceful outcome is further evidence that Putin simply doesn't want to come to the table and do this the right way because everybody else is finding a way to get there.
Ivana, President Trump, he did put the squeeze here on Russia by targeting their oil companies and countries that buy from them, like China and India. Oil revenue is how Putin, he's paying for this war in Ukraine. Do you feel that this is going to work?
Absolutely. Oil and gas are the key pillars of Russia's economy, and this is Russia's center of gravity. So imposing sanctions will definitely have an impact on Russian economy, but in the long run, there are still things that we need to do, including imposing secondary sanctions. China, for example, or Turkey or India, they are still buying from Russia, even though they claim that they want to seize such opportunities. So I think the point of those sanctions is not only to target Russian economy in the short run, it is also to show Putin that we are willing to impose cost on him, because Putin is not negotiating when he's willing to negotiate for peace and when he's ready for a peace. He's negotiating when he's pressured and cornered. Right. And actions speak louder than words.
Dan, what else do you think that the U.S. can and should do here to assist Ukraine if Putin does not stop this invasion? Is it more weapons? Is it those Tomahawk missiles that's been talked about here? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the key right now, these are good sanctions that were put in place this week against the two largest Russian energy companies. But what we really need are two things. One, we need the Graham-Blumenthal sanctions, which are secondary sanctions against anybody buying oil, as our other guests had said, Brazil, India, and China. That's one. And then two, Tomahawk missiles. With the combination of these two, I believe the likelihood that Putin will be forced to the table increases dramatically. This is just another weapon system that is equal to what Russia has been firing. And just this weekend, Russia fired 9 ballistic missiles into civilian areas within Ukraine. Right. All Ukraine is asking is for comparable missiles to fire back at Russian military and energy targets. So the next step are Tomahawks and the Graham-Blumenthal sanctions, and I believe that'll be enough to really force the issue. Putin does not want peace, however, so even then it may not be enough. We need to keep the pressure on until Putin is forced to end this war.
Let's pivot real quick here to the Middle East. President Trump had this to say about that ceasefire. Watch.
I think it'll hold, yeah. Oh, it's good. Well, if it doesn't hold, if it does hold, that would be Hamas. Hamas will be not hard to take care of. It will be very quickly. But I hope it holds for Hamas too, because they gave us their word on something. They said they took out gang members. Well, I hope that's right. But they gave us their word on something, so I think it's going to. And if it doesn't, then they'll have a very, very big problem.
Alex, President Trump ramping up his calls here for Hamas to meet this ceasefire that they agreed to.
Yeah, I think the president's right here. I mean, the only way we really get to the next phase is for them to live up to their responsibilities, which includes handing over the last sets of remains of the hostages that were killed either on 10/7 or in captivity, which includes 2 American citizens. And what needs to happen afterwards is what's been the sticking point, and that is Hamas will have to be disarmed. and they're going to be disbanded because they won't be allowed to govern in Gaza again. There's no way Israel will allow a threat like that to continue to exist on its borders. And that's what Hamas has resisted to date. And that becomes the problem. The last two pieces that need to go into place is some sort of governing authority. We've heard about a 15-member, technocrat, Palestinian-led governing authority that, if it's accepted by the factions, the Gazan people and the Israelis, it's a good step because that's one way to avoid an insurgency. The second will be the security piece and who's going to come in and do that. Both of those sort of still remain in flux. So until both of those are fleshed out and they're agreed upon by all sides and the last sets of remains are returned and Hamas disarms, we are not out of this by any means. The president deserves credit for getting us to where we are, and now it's up to Hamas to make sure that they live up to their word.
Well said. Dan, I just want to get your final thoughts here on the Trump meeting with China. He does think that there's going to be a trade deal. There's a structure there in place. What's your takeaway from that? I know there's been some tense relations here between Xi and President Trump.
That's a great question. I think China has been very supportive of Putin the entire time, including asking him to delay the original invasion until after the Beijing Olympics. They've been a major supplier of all the types of components. They call them dual use, but the reality is they've been providing most of the drones. They've increased their drone capacity immensely. If he can get Xi to support ending this war, I think it's a tremendous addition to all the other pressures that we need to put on Putin. Putin's inner circle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. He had Iran as a major supporter, and President Trump took Iran off the table. He's now isolating Putin, and that's really good for the world. We need to put Putin back in a box, get him out of Ukraine entirely, and that pressure will help to achieve that goal.
And Ivana, I'll just get your 2 seconds on that real quick. We got to go to break, but I'm running up against it. I want to get your thoughts on that from Dan.
We have axis of aggressors: China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. And if we really want to stop this, the beginning should be stopping with Putin and completely isolating him.
Very well said. Thank you all. I appreciate you all being here on Sunday Report and providing all your expert insight on this situation.